Hey guys, welcome back today. Sorry I can't be here, but I am sure you are well taken care of. Now, a couple things. Yesterday we ran out of time and we didn't get a chance to finish what the separations of power look like. So take out your notes from yesterday, and what you guys will be doing is you guys will be going over this. Alright, so you want to fill in those branch titles again and what each of them do. Got through that part yesterday. The part we did not get to was making these ones disappear and really going into in depth on how they interact with each other. So each one of these goes into those big boxes there. So basically when we look at this, the president can do certain things from the executive branch. The president can nominate federal judges and enforce court orders. The president can also recommend legislation, veto legislation, and implement laws passed by our Congress. Now each branch that the president interacts with, the Supreme Court or the judicial branch, and the Congress, the legislative branch, can also do certain things to keep the president's power in check. For instance, the Supreme Court can declare presidential actions unconstitutional, meaning they go against our Constitution. The judicial branch can also decide if the executive branch is functioning properly and legally, and they get to make those decisions. Now, Congress can pass laws, something the president can't do. The president makes 0 laws. The president only signs laws. Other thing is the president can, or Congress can override the vetoes with a 2/3 majority vote. The Congress can impeach the president and confirm presidential appointments to different positions like the federal judges that the president can nominate. So when we look at stuff like that, that's exactly what we're taking a look at, is these separation of powers, these different things. Now, we talk about the way that the judicial branch interacts with the legislative branch. So when we talk about that, the Supreme Court can declare the laws passed by the legislative branch unconstitutional, and Congress can appoint and or just nominate, appoint, allow those appointments for those judges. And that's how our government kind of checks and balances itself. All right? So here's a question for you guys. How important do you think it is? It's the bottom of your notes from yesterday. I want you guys to take some time to answer that question. Does it fit in your proposed government? You guys are going to have a chance to review this too as we go on today. But I do want to make sure that you guys are looking at this right now as we get ready to go. So at this point, please pause the video and answer this question. Now that everyone's kind of finished that up, I want to get through today's little short lesson about power and authority. All right, couple reminders. We're taking a quiz on Friday. Study guide will be text/Twitter tonight to you guys. We're going to talk about power and authority, and you guys are going to answer some questions at the end of class. To start with our refresher, what we're going to look at is the system of which a government enacts and enforces the policies that it has created to maintain social and economic order, or what a government is. So when we look at this, this is the definition of government. It's just a refresher, reminding you what the purpose is here. All right? Power versus authority. Power, the ability to do something. I have the power to do something. I have the power to do whatever, right? Now the question becomes, is power enough? Power is never enough, because you also have to have the right to do something. So you have to have the ability and the right to do something, and that's what's known as power and authority. So power is the ability to do something. Authority is the right to do it. I have the power to kick you out of class. I have the authority to kick you out of class if I choose, right? Now, I don't have the authority to kick you out of school. That's the big difference. I have the power that I can start to kind of kick you out of certain places, but I don't have the authority to make it permanent. Does that make sense? I hope it does. All right? Government needs both to function properly. Without both, the government cannot function properly. Without both, the government would have to do certain things. So government must have the power and authority to create the laws. Government must have the power and authority. I should go slower. Government must have the power and authority to create laws. If the government just has the power to create laws but no authority to create those laws, nobody's going to respond to those laws. If government has the authority to create laws but not the power to make them in place, well, nobody's going to respond to those laws. And what it comes down to is you must be able to do both of these. Right? Government must also have the power and authority to enforce the laws. Right? If you have the power to enforce the laws but you don't have the authority, what good do? You do not do any good. If you have the authority to enforce laws but you don't have any power to enforce them, what good are you? You're no good. Government needs to be able to do both. Without doing both, the government is essentially worthless. All right. Government must also have the power and authority to protect its citizens. If they have the power to, that's great. But if they're not allowed to, that's bad. And this is where power and authority comes into play. Power and authority must both be present in order for us to make sure that the citizens are protected. So when you guys sit down to create your government, you guys need to think about things like power versus authority. Which one do you guys want to have? Is it better to have power or is it better to have authority? How are you going to set up your government to allow for you to have power and authority? What is going on there? And it's really important that you make that decision as how we go about it. So government must be able to protect its citizens, and it must have the power and authority to do so. Last but not least, the government must have the power and authority to provide those goods and services as well. Without the power and authority to do that, the government's just creating things and they're not going to anyone. So they need to make sure that they have that all squared away and set for the people to use and to do. All right, we just covered the 4 basic tenets of government, the 4 functions. So hopefully it kind of serves as a review and gives you the idea of what power and authority needs to be. All right, so when we take a look at this, the last thing I want to ask you guys is what would happen to a government that is powerful but lacks authority? And what would happen to a government that has the authority but lacks the power? And I want you guys to take a moment and I want you guys to answer this and let me know what you guys are thinking about that. All right? Neither government will function properly when we talk about that. So neither government will really allow itself to be successful. So things to consider. You guys are going to start building your government a little bit today. Determine where the power and authority will come in. That's one thing. So that's kind of it for what we're going to be doing. So hopefully you guys have a good class, and I'll be back Thursday to talk to you guys then. Take care, and I'll see you later.